Hello and welcome to my orchid haul. This is the final orchid haul of 2018 and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. I got to go to the Huntington Orchid Show and Sale here in Southern California. It was held at the Huntington Botanical Gardens in San Marino, and it was a really fun time. I had a great time with my friends. We got to see some really amazing orchids, some really spectacular displays, and overall just had a great time. I got to see my friends from Sunset Valley Orchids, my friends from Norman's Orchids, all of my favorite nurseries. So I'm really excited to share my purchases with you guys if you want to come and look. Here we have one of the most exciting purchases of the show. This is a Phalaenopsis species that is quite famous and one that I actually get to finally cross off my bucket list. This is the Phalaenopsis Ballina. This particular Bellina is a Bellina big tree crossed with Bellina Dennis. And she comes from Norman's Orchids. He was actually at the show, and so his Phalaenopsis are always really spectacular. He hybridizes them and also imports them, and so I know he always has some really vigorous and beautiful plants. And this particular one stood out on the shelf just because of her size. She is a very big girl, if I can show you. Yeah, she's a very big girl. So I noticed her right away, and I asked Norman about her, and he told me that he suspects that she is a 4N plant. Now, when a orchid is a 4N plant, it basically means that she has double the number of chromosomes, which translates into a more vigorous and larger plant. She'll have larger leaves and larger flowers than the typical regular type of Bellina. So I really couldn't be more thrilled that if I was going to add a Bellina species to my Phalaenopsis collection, that it would be this particular one. She's absolutely stunning. As you can see, she's got this really beautiful shaped flower. It's the typical Bellina variety with that blush of magenta in the center and that really beautiful fragrance. She actually initially came with this flower in bloom, but it is since blasting since coming home, where the environment is very different from his nurseries. But I have this this bud that bloomed, and I'm so excited to have it in my care. I can't wait to see how this Bellina does over the course of time with me, and with any luck I'll get her to bloom again soon. Next up here we have another Phalaenopsis. This is the Phalaenopsis Valentini Eye. This particular Valentinii Eye is a Violacea form Indigo blue velvet crossed with Cornus cervi form Chatelade maybe, Montclair, and it's an award winner. So this particular Valentini Eye is really beautiful. She has this incredibly deep red color that really doesn't translate onto the camera as I had hoped it would. It's such a deep color, and it's really hard to capture. It's more like this deep red that you see from the side angle from the image, but she really is a beautiful red Phalaenopsis type, and she seems to be a little bit more on the Cornus cervi side. Let me see if I can take you in for a closer look. I believe this is a better example of the color of her flower with the lighter background there. So she really does have this beautiful deep red color of her Violacea parents, and so I'm excited to get her to bloom. She has currently this flower spike that has a flower, and this one in the back there that is in bud right now, and a third one here on the way. So I'm really excited to see how this particular Phalaenopsis does. She's really beautiful, and the only Cornus cervi type that I have, so I'm excited to see how she does. She's really beautiful. Here I have a very exciting Phalaenopsis hybrid that is newly released, and I'm so happy that Norman had it. This is the Phalaenopsis Yaphone. The Phalaenopsis Yaphone Lobispus crossed with Phalaenopsis Tine Shin Cupid. So in terms of looks, this bloom is just so beautiful. I really love it. It has this tiny little yellow orange bloom. It looks like kind of like orange juice, almost like a, oh, it's just such a beautiful colored flower. And you know, with this striking lip, this little dotting pattern in the back here. I'm going to take you in for a closer look. As you can see, she has that really beautiful speckling pattern on her lower sepals here. She really is such a striking little flower, and I first saw her on a forum on Facebook, I believe, and someone was describing her as a basically like a yellow-orange Minimark. Now the Minimark is a very striking and famous Phalaenopsis, a miniature Phalaenopsis hybrid that is kind of hard to find here in the United States. It seems to be more of a European available Phalaenopsis type, and so I was very excited when I found out that there was this type of Minimark kind of esque Phalaenopsis available here in the United States that was just released, and Norman happened to have one, so I couldn't resist picking her up. She really is such a charming little flower, as you can see. I love everything about her. The flower, the color, the lip, the little speckling. I love everything about this little bloom. So I'm super excited to see how she does in my care. And with any luck, I'll have some more flowers from her next year. Oh, she really is such a cutie. Here is another Phalaenopsis hybrid that I get to cross off my wish list, and that is the Phalaenopsis Samira. Now, the Phalaenopsis Samira is a hybrid between a Bellina cerulean and a Violacea cerulean. So there's a very good chance, just from the parents, that this Phalaenopsis will have a really gorgeous blue tinted purplish bloom, and a really beautiful fragrance as well, just from her parentage there. So I'm very excited to add this one to my collection. This one is a bit of a younger plant than the other ones that you've seen. As you can see, she has not had her first flower spike yet. She's not yet flowered before, so she's near blooming size. So I would say there's a good maybe year, maybe two, until she's ready to put out her first flower spike. But I'm excited to see how she does in my care. I imagine just from the size of this newest leaf that she is pretty close to maturity here. So I can't wait to see her blooms. Hopefully by next year I'll have something to show you guys. Last but not least, we have this little Dendrobium, a very special Dendrobium to add to my basically Phalaenopsis orchid haul. This is the Dendrobium speciosum var compactum, and the variety is Nippon Variegata. Now, as you can see, this is a variegated Dendrobium, and she is so charming. What a little cutie she is, isn't she? Just these striations on the leaves and the size of those little bulbs. Like, what a cute little plant. Like, just absolutely in love with her. I was talking to Norman, and I do believe that this flower spike that she puts out will also be variegated, though the flowers themselves won't be. So that's going to be a fun little surprise to look out for. And I believe that he said that he just got this particular tray of Dendrobiums from his visit to Japan. So if the Nippon in the hybrid name didn't give that away. So I'm really excited to add this little variegated Dendrobium to my collection. I now have two variegated Dendrobiums, both of which look very different. I'm very excited. I do have a soft spot for variegated orchids. They are just such a pleasure to look at, even when they're not in bloom. So I'm excited to see how this guy does in my care, and I hope that she blooms for me soon. Alright, well that wraps up my Huntington Orchid Show and Sale Orchid haul. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing these brand new Phalaenopsis additions to my collection, and it inspires you to add a couple of Phalaenopsis and maybe a Dendrobium to your own collections. Enjoy your plants and have a wonderful day. Bye!